Well, I think here in Washington and probably more generally in U.S. society, there's almost a sort of minor neuralgia about the fear that the United States is going to have to get embroiled in yet another major state building endeavor after the experience of Afghanistan and Iraq. But I don't think this is going to be similar. The United States was not involved in such an extensive way with the overthrow of the old government. You have a force of people on the ground who are going to take primary responsibility for that. The United States will play some role, but it will be very much a background role in terms of some assistance, some advice, some diplomatic support, but nothing like what we've seen in Iraq and Afghanistan. One of the fundamental lessons is that you really need to focus full attention on a couple of things early on and then also in a sustained way. One is finding a way to foster the inclusion of old actors to the extent possible. You get rid of the regime, but you want to make sure the security forces are not marginalized and then become rebels working against the new government. And so fostering and finding the sweet spot between persecuting and prosecuting those who've committed the wrongs in the past versus giving room in the new order for those who would like to take part in a constructive way is crucial. That didn't happen in Iraq and has, led to just tremendous problems. Secondly, that this needs to be, in a sense, an ongoing negotiation process. Obviously, some kind of caretaker government will need to rule, but there will need to be an ongoing negotiation process of building some consensus around a new political settlement. If you don't get such a consensus forged within the first year or two, then you don't really have the basis for creating a state. Elections come much later, only once you have such a consensus and rules of the game. So no rush to elections here. Elections need to be down the road after you've had a caretaker government come into place, a process of negotiation and building that political settlement, which then provides you the blueprint or the framework for having elections, the multiplication of political actors, and so forth. So we have learned some important lessons, and I think it will be possible for the international community to encourage those, the main actors on the ground in Libya to at least pay attention to them. There have been a number of countries with very weak institutions that have come out of civil war and built states, fragile though they are. Look at Liberia today. You have a talented, serious, and president who's doing good for the country, Ellen Sirleaf Johnson, and she comes out of a legacy of tremendous institutional destruction and weakness in Liberia. And so it's true that Gaddafi's rule was quixotic and unusually kind of institution-free, but a number of other, countries have faced the problem of devastated institutions and managed to come back. So Libya's got big, big challenges, but they're not unique. I think there's a fair amount of international capacity here that can be drawn upon. Not just the EU, but a number of European states also have capacity. The British government has, through its aid agency, and other parts of the British government has real capacity to offer. So does the German government, so does the French government, somewhat also the Italian government, and the EU structures. Then you have the United Nations, which has different parts of the United Nations, whether it's the Electoral Assistance Unit, the United Nations Development Program, and other parts that have capacity to offer here. So the United States also has important capacities as well and probably will be called upon, but we're not alone here. There has grown up over the last 20 years quite a bit of experience and also resources and a learning curve about building states out of fragmented, chaotic post-Civil War situations.